That night, a Robin Hood-like person forces their way into a vault of gold bars and receives orders from the mysterious man. Anyway, back at the temple, Takaru remembers the Ganma from last episode mention humans being used to attain a goal. He asks Grandpa Sennin what that means, but he just neighs like a horse, before implying Robin Hood is the next luminary hero icon. Onari calls Takaru upstairs to watch a news report of the Robin Hood character, who calls him Little John, and their unseen power which they used to steal money and give to the poor. The reporter, Shirace Mari, notes this is like a modern-day Robin Hood. Akari explains that the stolen money was from the councilman's slush fund. Onari believes that unseen power is the work of a Ganma and it's time to bring out the supernatural phenomena investigators. Onari even has business cards ready to hand out. Takaru says he has someone to go talk to while Akari says she will continue researching what Takaru's father was working on. Takaru goes to leave, but stops when Shibuya and Narita come in with their first SPI client Eva. This is the same man whom the mysterious man told Little John to target next. Onari tells Takaru he'll take care of this. Takaru decides to find the reporter, Mari, and asks her about why she referred to the thief as Robin Hood. He hands her a business card. Mari explains how the thief left their own business card naming themselves Little John, who is of course one of Robin Hood's men. She relates how her father was killed by the rich and powerful right before eyes. Takaru can relate. So you understand why there needs to be this kind of justice, Mari says. Takaru replies that he will pay back his father's debts, but he'll do it the right way. She calls him naive. Akari is in the lab when an eye symbol suddenly pops up on her computer and the power goes out. The eye on the monolith glows before the lights come back on her computer shows research and data on Shiranui, a method on how to make a ghost visible. Onari is at the client's home when the alarm sounds. Little John struts her way through the mansion with a Ganma in tow. The Ganma kicks Onari in the butt as Takaru arrives. Takaru henshins and faces the Ganma, but Little John has already taken a bow and arrow from the art collection. They take their fight outside and Takaru goes Musashi, but the Ganma manages to get away. Back at the lab, Akari is working on the potion from the data and just needs one more ingredient. Grandpa Sennin decides to help her out and place exactly what she needs on the table. She adds the ingredient and it explodes in glitter. But that explosion now allows her to see Gramps, in the flesh. Grandpa Sennin leaves, and Takaru arrives to get the good news from Onari. Onari has been running around in the forest and calls Takaru when he's found Little John's hideout. But Little John has found him too. Onari is attacked and the phone hangs up. Takaru and Akari have no way to trace Onari's location. But actually, they can. Uruzan pops up and says they can use the condor phone to help them. The phone turns into a condor and leads them exactly to where Onari is now tied up. The Ganma is about to kill Onari, but Takaru and Akari arrive just in time. Condor phone knocks the Ganma away. Little John reveals her identity. It's the reporter Mari. She explains that she tried to do things the right way, but Takaru tires to get her to remember in her original feelings of wanting to fight back, but without this unseen power business. The Ganma stays in Mari's ear until she starts glowing. Uruzan explains that this light is the influence of the Ganma. The Ganma drive humans to madness until a ghost is summoned in exchange for their life. That's how the Ganma get icons. Uruzan tells Takaru to hurry and get the new icon, but Takaru refuses and says he doesn't want it if it's at the expense of someone's life. Takaru tries to explain that this isn't justice, but the work of a Ganma wanting to use her life to get what they want. Mari shoves him to the floor and her resolve to continue down this path grows stronger. The Ganma is excited, but Takaru doesn't give up. He hugs Mari and a few seconds in a white room allows her to snap out of it. The light is gone. Akari pulls out her Shiranui contraption and blows the glitter potion to make the Ganma visible. This is the first time Onari and Akari have seen one and now Mari sees what's been helping her all this time. Takaru encourages Mari to use her visible journalism power to fight for justice. And her realization lights up the Robin Hood bow and arrow. Ah, so this is how you do things, Uruzan comments as Takaru henshins. Takaru draws the eye over the bow and arrow and the Robin Hood icon appears. The Ganma takes the fight with Takaru outside. Taku goes Edison, but still can't get the upper hand against the Ganma. Takaru then goes Robin Hood with Condor phone, forming his bow and arrow. The Ganma seems to have an impenetrable barrier. Akari and Onari run behind a tree and watches Takaru struggles, with no help from Uruzan. That's when Onari notices a crack opens up in the Ganma's barrier whenever he throws his axe. Takaru exploits that crack and shoots an arrow straight through to take care of the ganma for good. A black and blue jacket-wearing person seems to be secretly filming the whole thing. Meanwhile, the mysterious man and Aaron are also watching. The mysterious man says this was definitely unexpected, but Aaron is losing his patience. Back at the temple, Takaru compliments Akari for figuring out a way to see the ganma. Onari bows, wanting to apologize, but Takaru also thanks Onari for his nice advice earlier. Onari says Mari has turned herself in, and now that they've solved the case, the SPI should be getting more cases soon. In the meantime, Shibuya and Narita come in telling Onari they've found the guy he asked them to look into. After watching Takaru gain the Robin Hood icon, the mysterious man tells Aaron that he can do things his way this time if he likes. Back at the lab, Onari and Akari argue over a possible case. Takaru is not as anxious since things have gone pretty smoothly so far. Grandpa Sanin pops in and says things won't always be as easy. He gives a clue and Takaru figures the next luminary is Sengoku General Oda Nobunaga, who tried to unite all of Japan by using new ideas on the battlefield. Onari gets a call and they head upstairs to meet with Kuroda Hideo from Sengoku Corporation. He's here to ask for their help. His president, Hashiba, has been acting off lately even though he's always been a kind man. Strange things like floating office supplies have started happening around the same time Hashiba started acting weird as well. Akari thinks floating things are absurd, but Onari reminds her she floated all over the place last week. Takaru goes with Kuroda to the office to speak with Hashiba, who has just angered a business partner by wanting to take over that company. Suddenly, stuff around the office begins floating in the air, while the other company's president gets dragged along by a ganma. Takaru sees the ganma and follows them to the roof. The ganma hurls the president off the side and Takaru quickly henshins and jumps to catch him. After safely landing on the ground, Takaru faces off against the ganma. None of the people can see them fighting, except for the explosions. Uruzan flies in and tells Takaru to split the gun saber in two and stick them together to form a naginata. Takaru uses it against the ganma, but he destroys the fake clone instead of the original. The ganma runs off, but Takaru is at least sure an icon is nearby. Meanwhile, that black and blue person recording Takaru earlier is back again. Another writer? Takaru heads back to the office, where he sees a woman driving away the president with a smile. Ghost Takaru sneaks into Hashiba's office only to be quickly seen by him. Takaru introduces himself and Hashiba recognizes the name as the head priest of the Daitenku temple visited his home once. Takaru says that must have been his father. Hashiba says the chief priest visited to see the framed letter written by Oda Nobunaga himself. Hashiba's family were retainers of the Oda clan for generations, and he says Nobunaga is his idol. The woman from earlier asks to speak with Hashiba. Takaru excuses himself and meets with Kuroda, who explains the woman is Sakuma Risa, the president's secretary. Takaru sneaks back into the office to listen to their conversation. Sakuma reports that another company has agreed to a takeover. Hashiba is determined to rule Japan and Sakuma encourages him. Meanwhile, Onari and Akari go around to other offices that have experienced strange phenomena. Akari notices a map with dots forming a familiar shape. It's an eye. But the ganma suddenly appears, and Akari fires her revealing cannon to make the ganma visible. The ganma has actually split itself again and is at every one of the companies marked on the map forming the eye. The locations connect and a large eye appears. The land, with all the city on top it, rises out of the ground and into the sky. On the roof, Sakuma tells Hashiba that the floating island is now his city. From there, he will control Japan. Takaru and Kuroda get to the roof as well and try to talk to Hashiba. But Sakuma just feeds the fire that is Hashiba's desire to become Nobunaga. Takaru tries to explain he is being controlled by a ganma and that he will die. But Hashiba is fine with that if he can become Nobunaga. Takaru walks over, saying he will not give up. Takaru gives Hashiba a hug and feels Hashiba's will to live. The hug snaps Hashiba out of his ganma-induced stupor and the framed letter from Nobunaga stops glowing. Takaru tells Hashiba that Nobunaga was a feared warrior, but he cared for his retainers regardless of status, as is stated in the letter. Sakuma will not have any of this. The ganma appears and Takaru henshins to Robin Hood. Kuroda runs over to Hashiba, who realizes Nobunaga's true qualities. He begins to glow brightly instead of the ganma purple, as does the framed letter. Takaru and the ganma are in the park. The ganma splits himself up again, but Takaru uses Robin Hood Omega Drive Omega Strike to take of it. That causes the flying island to come crashing down back onto Earth. Takaru feels he has to do something about it, but Hiruzen says he should hurry and go get the Nobunaga icon. Takaru instead runs over to the island. On another rooftop, Eren waves his finger and sends icons flying into the air. Takaru calls Hiruzen, who hands him the Newton icon he obtained in the special Kamen Rider Drive epilogue. Takaru uses it and is able to help the city island land safely back in place. But he'll get crushed? Nope, he's already dead anyway, Hiruzen reminds him. Takaru heads back above ground and Hiruzen reminds him to hurry and obtain the new icon. Sakuma has Hashiba by the neck, but Takaru stops her. He shoves her aside and draws an eye to release the Nobunaga icon. Turns out Sakuma was controlled by a Ganma who now exits her body. Takaru quickly takes care of it. But the distraction allows for the blue and black rider to jump in and take Nobunaga. He is now in possession of the icon. You are so naive, Eren has been watching from the stairwell. Spectre, he calls him. Back at the lab, Takaru tries to get answers out of Grandpa Sanin who has none. Except to explain that a luminary's ghost will only be brought forth by that person's feelings. If a Ganma takes over that person's body, then it's a different person, thus impossible. Anyway, Gramps wants ramen,